Bob Barker here from the Leading Edge Forum, and I'm here with John Watton from Adobe Marketing.
Hi Bob.
Hello John, good morning. So John, Adobe's been through a big transformation recently from license to SaaS. How's that overall affected marketing over the last few years?
Yeah, well, it's been a huge transformation, as you can imagine. So the way I would think about it is yes. I mean, a lot of people probably familiar with Adobe and in their minds think about sort of boxes of software and 10 years ago.
PDFs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Although being an electronic software company, we shipped our stuff through boxes, through distributors. So as a marketing organization, we were sort of separated from the customer. We had this kind of distribution channel in between us and the customer. So a lot of that customer insight understanding came either sort of second-hand or through third-party research. So moving to a cloud-based provision model, which we have done in the last few years, has also meant that as a business we can better understand our customers. So we are seeing live usage, understanding what people are downloading, using, accessing. And then as a marketing organization, again, this data almost real time, as it were. It means as a marketing team, we've kind of been pulled into, direct relationship with the customer. And as a result of that, as you can imagine, it means that we've got much greater access to much larger data, which means that also as a marketing team, we're much more data driven than we've ever been before. So it's been a huge change for us as a marketing group. It has meant a reskilling of our team, a reorganization of our team, and it's just totally changed the way in which we operate.
So, John, if we start looking at the whole of sort of technology marketing automation, and all the rest of it, I mean, a few years ago we sort of had lots of little bits that we have our email over here and our website over here.
Yeah.
And now everything's come together, and you've got the sort of advantage of working for a company that's got it all anyway. So, how's that affected marketing over the last few years as well? How have you seen that evolve?
Yeah, well, I think as marketers, broadly, we just want to get on and do marketing.
Yeah. And
as always, with any technology changes, it throws up a lot of disruption. And as you say, there's been a lot of great marketing technology that's become available. And I think the great thing for a lot of brands is that technology is, the cost of acquisition has come right down. So it's a lot easier to get to. In the past, you used to have to be a big brand with big budgets to get access to that. But what I think as marketers we don't want to do is spend our time piecing together little bits of technology to make things work, or get that sort of view of the customer, because I think with a platform, it really addresses the thing I think as marketers we all want to do, which is get whatever you want to call it, a single view of the customer, 360 degree view of the customer, whatever you want to call it. That's what we want to get to, because as we know, even in the most B2B of industries, a lot of the interaction that your customer has with you is on many channels, whether that's your website, through social, through email or whatever. And you need that total view, because some customers only interact with you on the email, some customers only interact with you on your social channels. Yeah. And if you're just measuring or monitoring one of those, you're not getting that understanding of the true value or the behaviors, or the understanding of that customer, of your brand, and then what you can do to best service them. So we're very lucky because we are a marketing technology provider. We have a full platform. As a marketer, I get a very preferential rate on that technology.
I hope you do.
Yeah, and it's just allowed us to get on with the job of marketing and not think about integrating and being a systems integrator. Yeah. So that's the real benefit for us, and then the data that ensues from that activity.
So getting practical on the data side of things, what are you actually looking at? Do you look at it every day? Do you have a team meeting halfway through the week where you say, okay, let's have a look at our top 10 prospects, or are we looking at markets? How are you actually looking at the data?
Well, so the first thing to say is that I think we're all on a journey on this, and I know when I talk to other marketers, the worry is always, are we falling behind? Who's doing this really well? I think I've seen our use of data, in that sort of respect, evolve over the last few years and continues to evolve. But there's basically 4 areas, and the final one I'll come to, I think is just an interesting thing for B2B marketers. So, the first is just the ongoing performance.
Yeah.
So as a B2B marketing organization, we are measured as part of our overall business in terms of what we contribute to the pipeline and to the revenue. So, we have a hard number, which we are tracked against, and once a week we get a sort of dashboard on how that's looking for the current quarter, the current quarter +1, +2, +3.
And is that marketing qualified leads, or is it what is it?
Well, we use the Serious Decisions waterfall, so
Right.
the terminology hopefully people are familiar with. What I've learned is that the things at the top of the funnel, in the top end are the sort of vanity metrics. And so what we focused on is more of the sort of harder numbers at the bottom, which is really the pipeline that's in our forecast, and then hopefully the revenue that we booked. But yes, as a marketing group, we track as well up the funnel, sales accepted leads, marketing qualified leads, and inquiries up the funnel. But looking at those in isolation isn't really valuable. No. It doesn't mean a lot. Much more about what are we translating into hard business, as it were. So we have a sort of coverage model that looks at the amount of business we need to be contributing to help us hit our revenue goals, and then we track that over the quarters. So that's the first thing. And then, in terms of our marketing execution, there are two things that we measure. One is our marketing return on investment. So we are looking back over, I think, 3 quarters, so maybe 9 months, maybe a year, and looking at what is delivering the best return on investment.
Right.
So we can track then, because we can track the business impact, we understand what we spent, we can look at the ROI, and then we look at that ROI basically on how it impacts the various stages of the funnel. And then the third area then is our media mix. So what is the right mix of activities, whether that's events, advertising, PR, social, how does that all impact our business? That's the third area. And the fourth, which I think is really interesting, and you kind of mentioned your question, which is marketing into key accounts or strategic accounts. We have the whole sort of top tier of our customers. We put into this whole account-based marketing
right.
kind of thing, which is really interesting for B2B, because B2B marketers like 10 years ago were really sort of account-based marketers trying to do very kind of high-touch activities, and then marketing automation allowed us to scale that out of breadth. To just these broad behavioural based, scale up your marketing. And now I think a lot of us are trying to blend that back with the high touch approach for those really valuable accounts.
So how does that work with sales then? If you've got your account, are you meeting sales?
This is really interesting, and because when you're doing breadth marketing, marketing can sort of make that strategic decision to go out and take this message to this breadth of customers because you're out sort of making a market. When you're on a sort of an account-based marketing plan, you have to fit into the sales plan. So you can't just go out and market to your top customers.
No.
You have to work with the account teams.
Right.
So the way I see it, the way we see it, is the marketing plan is effectively a chapter or a tab in a sales-based plan. And so the sales team should get deeper visibility of what we're doing. And then be able to sort of map that into what they're doing, but they really have to own that decision.
Right.
We can't just say, right, we're going to do something, we don't care, what you think. They have to sort of, arbitrate that decision based on, the commercial situation or any sensitivities the account may have, or the stage in the sales or the buying cycle.
So do you go through a physical meeting on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Account by account.
Yeah.
So we have a top tier accounts across Europe. Each one of those accounts typically has, a different account manager, account executive as we call them. Yeah, and then, we have account planning sessions, regular ongoing meetings.
So where's social selling fit? I mean, so the big social selling, so empowering the sales force with content so they can share it with their customers. Are you doing that, and how's that working?
So there's kind of two parallel initiatives. There's kind of what I would call sales enablement. So in a company like Adobe, our sales organization and our sales structure is huge, right? Compared to, some smaller businesses where I've been at, where it's more of a kind of sort of team thing. So you have to have a dedicated sales enablement, function that helps the sales people with the content they need and the sales approach and and use of our CRM and all that sort of stuff that that really you can't sort of run out of marketing. And then and so that function actually works with us and drives the right content. There's sales portals and so on. We then further, enable that team with content that we're producing and initiatives and thinking and obviously research and all the sort of stuff that we do in our marketing to generate interest. And it really sort of dovetails into that. So, we produce a kind of weekly, a sort of diary of, a forward-looking diary of what we're doing that week from a social perspective for our social teams sales teams to pick up and share.
And do you find that they're picking that up? Are they?
Yeah. Well, it's mixed, right?
70-30.
So there's a bigger challenge around getting, a broad range of personalities using social media, right? As you know, I know that's a lot of work that you get involved in. Yeah. And there are people who are reluctant to do that, and there are people who jump on it. So we're no different.
Yeah. So the whole AI space, where's marketing going? Have you got any insights? Let's say we have AI, machine intelligence. People call it all kinds of things. But what? Yeah. Where is that affecting marketing at all? Is it more in the B2C space where there's a lot of analysis done on the people actually on site? How's AI affecting?
Yeah. Well, I think AI is often, when people think of AI, they think of something very sort of, I don't know, like the Human Genome Project or something really. So, but there's obviously algorithmic intelligence in a lot of standard marketing technology. So, when you are doing your programmatic advertising, you are using a machine engine that is helping you make some decisions. So I would see that sort of flavor of kind of algorithmic machine learning. Now, it's not like a natural language parsing thing that like Alexa or that kind of learns and grows. But I think there's a lot of obviously algorithmic stuff that we use in B2B marketing. In the sort of marketing automation world, we're doing real-time personalization based on understanding of customer consumers' behavior, dynamic creative on the fly based on understanding what you're doing within that sort of last millisecond. Right. So there's a lot of that kind of clever stuff going on.
Is that more consumer, or is that?
No, I mean we use it ourselves in our B2B marketing when we're driving our kind of brand awareness. Through sort of programmatic channels. The way we personalize Adobe.com is done like that. So, it's accessible to B2B marketers. I think in B2B marketing, we're always a little step behind the consumer marketing world. But it's not like, 10 years ago, it was like a generation behind. There's great B2B practice and great B2C practice, and there's poor B2B practice and poor B2C practice, right? So, as you know, when you check your inbox every day, when you get up in the morning and email, so you can't say that one is worse than the other. And I think what I've seen in the last 5 years is, as B2B marketers, we've been able to benefit from this sort of consumer technology, and probably more importantly, consumer marketing thinking about how you approach marketing. And that was often what was missing in B2B marketing. It was very much because it's in a B2B environment, which has a very strong reliance on a sales organization typically. Marketing was typically more of a support function and not necessarily driving or leading the business. I see in brand like Adobe, we have a kind of mixed, kind of blended kind of view of things. I think a lot of what we do in our B2B world, is driven by marketing, and the organization expects that, right? But there are many other areas which sales has to lead just because of the nature of the engagement with the customer. So I think that sort of that AI thing will only develop and evolve. I think you think about the range of channels that we're using in B2B marketing. More and more things like smartwatches and Internet of Things and devices all come into the B2B fold. And just the scale of the data that we need to process, analyze, and act on will require a much more intelligent kind of technology, to drive that. So, that's kind of evolving. VR and AR is coming into it. There are B2B brands that are doing kind of using VR, in their kind of customer interaction, not necessarily marketing.
But the main, looking at what you guys do, the main customer interaction bit, is that still, it's coming up to a summit. Is the big event still obviously still working for you guys? It's still, it's because it's people meeting people, isn't it?
Yeah.
How's that? Why that's still very important?
Well, I always say that everything is up for grabs when you're thinking about marketing channels or marketing tactics.
Yeah.
I presume in consumer marketing, but in B2B marketing, aside from probably fax marketing, everything else still has a role.
Yeah.
When I started doing B2B marketing, you had like 4 or 5 channels. You had kind of events. You could send something in a post.
Yeah.
You could phone someone up. You did PR, and if you're really lucky, you could do advertising, but that was very rare. And all those things are still valid. We still do telemarketing. We still send things in the post. I get nothing in the post now at work. And when I get something in the post, I get an email from reception saying you've got a letter or a package, which means if you want to get hold of my attention, send me some in the post. And yes, and physical events are still a key part of what we do. But it's a mix, so it's like having a cake mix, right? You can't just say, well, the ROI on that is so good, just spend all your money on email or on events or on telemarketing. What we understand, it's a mix, and all these things have a sort of interrelationship and a causal effect on each other. But
do you know kind of like how many touches you're trying to do? Is it 7 or 10 or 30? Or?
We try and manage that. So
right.
Without getting too technical, we basically are a commercial business, right? So we track leads and opportunities and revenue. So we track what we need to do to get, a marginally interested person to be an opportunity.
Right.
And then we track the sort of touches to get to that. And then once that contact is an opportunity, then we track then the touches we need on average to get them to, to a position where they're comfortable with, signing a commercial agreement. So we look at all that. But I think, in this digital world, it's even more imperative to kind of stand out and cut through. And that's why I think a lot of the traditional thinking that we had in marketing around, even things like creative and emotional connection are even more important now. I think there was a thinking that with marketing automation, you would get all this data, you would get the right message to the right person, the right time, and the right channel, and that's kind of the job done.
Yeah.
No, because we get thousands of tweets in our in our social media dashboard. We get hundreds of emails. We get very little post. And
you ought to try that.
Yeah, try that, and send hundreds of invites to events. So actually, things like events are a way in which you can stand out. And I think more and more it's not about just the process of having an event. It's about creating an experience, and I think that's more and more what customers and consumers want, or kind of will respond to is an experience. So, we try and build an integrated experience across our marketing, and then when we stage an event, we try and make sure it's the best event we can make, and we think about the experience, at the event, rather than just a functional, let's try and get 100 people in a room and talk to them for an hour, and that'll be good enough.
Yeah, I think you do a good job of that.
Yeah,
and so creating that experience, the art side of it, what sort of agency mix have you got? Are you is that coming from within, or or is corporate's big agency that's coming up with the big ideas, or what agencies are you using?
Yeah, so the agency relationship has kind of changed. So firstly, when we think about our brand and creating a kind of standout, kind of content and message, we use a global agency to do that.
Yeah.
And actually our kind of brand advertising, used to be print and poster and I wouldn't say airport, but kind of physical print. And then it went obviously to sort of display, and now it's video. So all of our content is video. So we do these very hopefully people think humorous videos. If we try and bring out the kind of the personality of our brand, which we like to think is, contemporary, a little edgy, a little humorous. So a video allows you to tell a story and get across a message more than just 10 words on a print ad. And we found as well, luckily, to be great from a response point of view. So we use a global agency to do that, and then we use local agencies to kind of position that and put it in the right media. But we have a range of agencies doing a range of different things. So for example, we've insourced a lot of our marketing activities in the past that we outsourced to agencies. So
sort of marketing execution.
Yeah. So I think if I were to summarize our attitude towards agencies, we use agencies more for strategic counsel and to give us that kind of view on the industry and best practice and options and ideas, and less on the doing, because the kind of the friction of dealing with agency, doesn't really work on some things based on the fact that we have to sort of move within hours, if not minutes and days, and to get things done. So we've insourced, for example, we used to outsource the management of our marketing automation. We brought that in-house. I mean, that was a few years ago. We brought in-house some of our media buying and our programmatic and our paid social buying in-house, because also we feel that having that within our business is important for the DNA of our marketing team. To have digital in our DNA and not sort of outsource it to someone else. And so we still have agencies. Yeah. They just do different things.
And PR?
Yes, we have PR. Yes. We have PR agencies again who provide a lot of our counsel. We have PR professionals within the business. We have social media team within the business who do most of our social media. All of our social media, again, we haven't outsourced that to a...
And you mentioned social, buying some social advertising, and also Google. How are you using Google? Are you buying Google? What's the...
Yeah. Well, again, we look at the buyer's journey, and Google is a key part of that. So we have to have a presence on Google, across all the things that people search for when they're thinking of what we do at Adobe. In a B2B sense, one of our most productive channels, no surprise, is LinkedIn. So we spend a lot of not a lot of money, but we put a lot of effort onto LinkedIn, because that allows you to get really targeted. I mean,
so in terms of advertising,
that's right. In terms of advertising, so in a B2B world, you have a list of companies you want to talk to, right? So you can give that list of companies to somebody like LinkedIn. And you can target specifically those companies and spend your money specifically on the companies. And then, of course, roles within those companies. So, of course, that's the value of LinkedIn. It has all of that, that universe of context.
And are you looking at that with the sales source when you do that? Or
in what sense?
So, if you're looking at the roles within the company, what's going to go to each, that's getting on in the background as opposed to involving the sales source in those kind of...
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, I'd say it's probably something. No, we don't sort of do talk. And maybe that's something we could do. Talk to the sales team about what we're doing to target those kind of accounts or anything like that. Yeah. But I could see that's a natural evolution as we develop our account-based marketing as well.
Quick fire round. What was your last marketing epiphany? What was your last big aha moment? What was the...
Actually, it was, I was working at a small startup with a small team, and it was really my kind of journey into where I am now and the conversation we talked about, which is marketing automation. So I was able as a small business to invest in a marketing platform and punch far above my weight, and it just suddenly made me realize how within the reach of any size of business marketing technology is, and how you can really do smart things no matter what your size. And I think that was a big epiphany for me. And then, subsequent to that, I just wanted to be in that industry. So it's kind of how I've ended up to be at Adobe.
Great. And is there an individual or somebody that's had a big influence on your career?
Yeah, I've always... I've always, I guess I love anyone who has a kind of what I call a growth mindset.
Right.
So I wouldn't say there are individuals, but a specific individual, but there are people who I've worked with and for. Because what I see more and more, especially in marketing, it's not necessarily about your hard skills, knowing a specific tool set anymore. It's certainly within a brand like Adobe and I guess technology brands, it's about your attitude and your softer skills, about your attitude to growing a business and growing yourself and your career. And I've always tried to bear that in mind, even at my ripe old age. I still feel there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So it's people I've worked with and for who've kind of had that attitude that I guess continue to, without sounding cliche, inspire me. Right. To sort of grow and learn and develop, and that's what I think is great about B2B marketing. It's a great time to be in B2B marketing, and there's loads to learn, and it's a great place to be.
And what your job would be easier if ...
I had more money and people, obviously.
More money and people. Okay.
that's the marketer's curse, isn't it?
Yeah.
You never have enough money and people.
Right.
So that's not the case. So my flippant answer is really coming to what the real if I had the ability really to more ruthlessly prioritize what I'm doing, that would make my job easier. You can have all the resource. I've worked at bigger and smaller companies, and you never have enough resource or people. So my job would only be easier if I could, better prioritize what I'm doing, I guess.
Final question: what are you reading? Where are you going? Is there other particular online sites you go to? Are there books that you look at?
So I guess I've curated a list on Twitter. So I guess in there are a combination of interesting people doing interesting things, whether they're independent consultants or researchers, or just people in other industries.
Is that a public list or a private?
Is it a public list? It might be a public list.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Can I share it?
Yeah.
Thanks. There's a tip. I think it's public. I don't think I've made it private. I guess I try to read Wired, TechCrunch, all those kind of things. Find it very, very difficult to do that. So I find the curated list is the way. It's just an easy way.
And I just Twitter is a kind of a scannable kind of quick.
Yeah. I mean, we all want bite-sized content now, right? We all have short attention spans. So I guess when I get up in the morning, once I lean out of bed and put Twitter on, but it's one of the first resources I look at just to get a quick snapshot across the board.
Yeah. Well, John, thank you very much. That was a great sort of overview of what's going on with Adobe and where technology is going within Adobe and where you think the market's going. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Bob.